Guys, what's going on? You have a sub today, which means you're going to be completing this packet by watching a video and following along. If you've not already completed the warm-up, please pause the video and go ahead and complete it. I will review this in 5 minutes. Okay, so you should have watched the video. Number 1, it took Mr. Dummett 2/3 of a minute to fill half of his water bottle. How long did it take him to fill his entire water bottle? This is a unit rate problem because we're looking for one whole water bottle and the time it took him. You should have this system down pretty well by now. You have the unit rate, which is what you're trying to find. You want to know how long in minutes it took him to fill one water bottle. That's our missing amount that is going to be my answer. I have to get my given rate now, and they give me this rate. Make sure it matches the units on your unit rates. My given rate is 2/3 of a minute over 1/2 of a bottle, or water bottle. When you have a scary looking complex fraction like this, it really just means you're dividing the top by the bottom. Remember this big thing, it looks like a fraction bar, it can also be a division bar. So I'm going to set up my problem to be 2/3 divided by 1/2. When you do that, you get a division problem with fractions, and we know that we keep, flip, and change the sign. It should take Mr. Dummett 4/3 of a minute. We don't have an option in here for that, but I can simplify this as a mixed number to 1 1/3 minutes. Your answer should be C. Number 2. Sienna finishes 2/3 of one homework assignment in 3/4 of an hour. How long does it take her to finish each assignment? I am looking for one assignment. In my head, I'm thinking unit rate.
Mr. Mackey,
Yeah, go ahead.
do you have homework use?
Set up your unit rate. This is what I'm trying to find. I want to know how long it takes her. That's going to be how many hours on top. That's what I'm looking for each one assignment. And they give me a given rate over here. 2/3 of one homework assignment in 3/4 of an hour. This one's tricky because we need to match the units with the unit rate. I want hours on top, so 3/4 of an hour goes on top, 2/3 of an hour goes on bottom. Sorry, not 2/3 of an hour, 2/3 of an assignment. 3/4 over 2/3 looks scary. This is a complex fraction. Set it up as a division problem. Keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change the sign. You should get 9/8 or 1 1/8. So the unit rate, or how long it takes Sienna to finish one assignment, is 1 1/8 of an hour. 1 1/8. Turn the page, please. Today's aim is students will be able to compare ratios using ratio tables. A ratio table is where all the ratios come to eat. Lame joke, Mr. MacD. Is a structured list of equivalent ratios, which means you can simplify them to be the same. That helps us understand the relationship between the ratios and the numbers. A ratio, you might be thinking, well, that sounds a lot like a unit rate. It's a little different than a unit rate. Here's why. A ratio does not have to be over 1. So if you go get your first job this summer and you are trimming the grass hand by hand for your neighbor because you are so precise, you might be paid for having worked 3 hours. She might give you $30. A ratio does not have to be over 1. A unit rate, well, you guys are pros at that. You can probably get the unit rate out of this. It is $10 an hour. A ratio does not have to be over 1. A unit rate is always over 1 of something. So let's use that knowledge and make a ratio table. Miss Toddy and Miss Ray are having a debate about whose chili is spicier. Miss Toddy uses 2 tablespoons of hot chili powder for every 3 tablespoons of beans. Miss Ray uses 3 tablespoons of hot chili powder for every 6 tablespoons of beans. Whose chili is spicier and why? Underline what you're looking for. I'm looking for whose chili is spicier. And to do that, I'm going to use a ratio table to help me figure it out. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Whose chili is spicier? We are going to use a ratio table to figure out whose chili is spicier. So we're going to need to do a little bit of drawing. So get out your artist abilities. If you have like your binder, you can make a straight edge. We're going to make a box that will turn into a table. So draw one box and label it Mrs. or Miss Toddy. And we'll draw a second box. Make it about the same size because we're going to need to fit about 5 different numbers in here. This one we are going to label as Miss Ray. So how we use a ratio table is we're first going to label with the 2 units we know. We know that she uses 2 tablespoons of hot chili for 3 tablespoons of beans. So this first column is going to be the amount of chili powder. We can just say chili. The second column is the amount of beans. Then we put our given rate. They are giving us a rate of 2 tablespoons for every 3 tablespoons of beans. This table here is the ratio of 2/3. Then we are going to put the next number. Well, I can use this table to find any ratio that's equivalent. We're going to add 2 to this column. If she has 4 tablespoons of chili powder, we're going to add 3 to this column. She has 6 tablespoons of beans. So on this left column, we are adding up 2 plus 2 is 4. Then add 2 again. We get 6. Add 2 to 6. We get 8. On this column, we added 3 because we started with 3. So we're always adding the amount they give us in the column initially. Add 3 to this, we get 6. Add 3, we get 9. Add 3, we get 12. Okay, once you have 4 different ratios, 2 to 3, 4 to 6, 6 to 9, 8 to 12, we go to the next table. Label this chili again. And beans. Miss Ray uses a different ratio. She has 3 tablespoons of chili powder for 6 tablespoons of beans. So we're going to add this column and make some more ratios. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. So she uses 3 tablespoons of chili when she uses 6 tablespoons of beans. This is like cooking, you're using measurements. If she wants a bigger batch, she uses 6 chili and 12 beans. We can add 3 again. When she has 9 chili, she has 18 beans. When she has 12 chili, she has 24 beans. Once you have your ratio table created, we're going to look on the left column to see if I can match any numbers with this column. That's going to allow us to compare the ratios. So I'm looking down and 2, there's no 2 in the chili column. I go to the next one. 4, there's no 4 in the chili column. 6, there is a 6 in the chili column. I'm going to pause there and start to compare my ratios. Circle both of these. Those are the ones you're using. So when she uses 6 tablespoons of chili powder, that's the stuff that makes it hot. She uses 9 tablespoons of beans. When she uses 6 tablespoons of chili for Mrs. Ray, the same amount, how many beans does she use? 12 tablespoons. If you're cooking and you add more beans into the recipe, what's going to happen? Would you have a spicier recipe if you add more beans to this spice? Well, no. If you have more chili and less beans, you're going to have a spicier recipe. So I'm comparing the ratios of 6/9 to 6/12, and well, 6 over 9 I know is going to be spicier because there's less beans to dilute it. That's one way that I'm comparing. So I'm going to say Miss Toady has, we're going to make a ratio, 6 tablespoons, TBSP, of chili to 9 TBSP of beans. This is spicier, which is spicier than 6 over 12 because there are more beans to dilute it. We could put the labels here. I'm running out of room. Okay. That's one way of comparing it. But what if I told you there's actually a second way that I could compare? You don't have to do it 2 ways on your homework or your partner practice when you're asked in a test even, but I want to prove to you that I can actually prove it a second way. I'm going to use green. And in the first time I compared, I used the chili column. In this time, I'm going to look for the beans column. And I see when Mrs. Toady has 12, there's another 12 over here. Miss Ray has 12 over here. We could actually use the 6 too. 6 and 6. Let's go ahead and use the 6. The 6 is a little smaller. So when Mrs. Toady has 6 tablespoons of beans, Miss Ray has 6 over here. So I'm going to compare when she has 6 tablespoons of beans each, how much chili powder does she use? Well, when Miss Toady uses 6 tablespoons of beans. She has 4 tablespoons of chili. So 4 tablespoons of chili over 6 tablespoons of beans. In my head, I'm comparing that, and I think that's spicier than Miss Ray's. Miss Ray uses only 3 tablespoons of chili. Well, the more chili you have with the same amount of beans, that's going to be spicier. So I can use either the first or the second column to compare. It doesn't really matter, but I know that Miss Toadie's is spicier in both cases. We're going to skip number 5 for today. Cross that out. Let's look at another example. So Zach and Amy are mixing orange paint. Below you see the ratio of red to yellow paint in each mixture. Whose mixture is yellower? Whose mixture is redder? This time they actually created the ratio tables for me, which was nice. In your independent practice and partner practice, you will be having to make the tables. They won't always do this for us. We're just going to use what we know about ratio tables, and I know this one has a ratio of 1 to 3. Zach's is 3 to 5, comparing red to yellow. So this column is all the cups of red he uses. This is all the cups of yellow. We want the mixture that is redder and whose is yellower. So let's first focus on whose is yellower. Well, I'm going to compare by trying to find 2 numbers that match on the red column. When Amy has 1 cup of red, Zach doesn't have 1. Amy has 2, Zach doesn't have 2. Amy has 3, and Zach has 3. So I'm going to circle that ratio. Okay, I'm thinking, well, when they both have 3 cups of red, Amy has 9 cups of yellow, and Zach has 5 cups of yellow. So I'm looking for whose is yellower, and Amy has more yellow. So I'm going to say that Amy's mixture is yellower, or more yellow. Is yellower a word? Don't want Mr. Coaches to come interrogate me. We'll put more yellow. Amy's mixture is more yellow because 3 cups of red over 9 cups of yellow has more yellow mixture than Zach's. Zach's is going to have 3 cups of red, so the same amount of red, but only 5 cups of yellow. Okay, so that's all I would need to do if I have this in a test, but let's just for fun try to use the yellow column, because we can use both. So this is 3, Zach doesn't have 3. 6, Zach doesn't have 6 yellow. 9, he doesn't have 9 yellow. 12, no 12 yellow. 15, he does have 15 cups of yellow. So let's go ahead and circle the 15 and compare them. Make sure you use the same column. I'm not using the red 15, I want the yellow 15. So when they both have 15 cups of yellow, Amy only has 5 cups of red, and Zach has 9 cups of red. So if you add more red to the mixture, it's going to be a lot less yellow because you have a lot more red mixed in. So this is the same thing. I know that Amy's mixture is more yellow. The same answer, just a different ratio. Amy's is more yellow. And why? Well, let's use the ratio. Because 5 cups of red over 15 cups of yellow we can say has less red and more yellow. It has less red than 9 cups of red over 15 cups of yellow. So either one of these will work in your description. You can use the first or the second column. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, press play when you are ready. All right, hopefully you had time to work this out. For the final check, we want to know which pair, oh dear, I don't think there's a question. What is one pair of ratios you could use to compare both? Oh, this one's actually easier. So for this one, we're just looking to find which one I can use to compare. So we don't actually need to see like which one has more sugar, but if we're comparing, what ones could I use? And you should have circled 2, because you can use 2 for cups of sugar. So let's call this A and this one B. For mixture A, you can use the ratio 2 cups of sugar over 4 cups of flour. And for B, you could use 2 cups of sugar and 8 cups of flour. So we can compare those, and if you're thinking, which one has more sugar in it? Well, this has a lot less flour, so mixture A would have a lot more sugary of a taste. You could also use the flour column to compare, because this has 4 and this has 4. We could have also said, well, 2 cups of sugar when there's 4 cups of flour is going to prove to me that there's a lot more sugar than having only 1 cup of sugar for the same amount of flour. Okay, if that's written, you're ready for partner practice. You guys are rolling through partner practice. Here are your steps. If you need to go back and check, you can cross out number 5. We're not using that right now. And you'll need a ratio table for this. Use the binder edge to make a straight edge for each table if you can. Once you finish your partner practice, you're going to go on to bronze after 10 minutes. This is independent practice, and your answers are right here. Your homework is the same homework from yesterday. If you didn't pick it up, it is 6-7, and it is on the counter. All right, guys, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Have fun. I will see you tomorrow.